Alright, we are recording for chapter 7, and it's getting late, so hopefully I can keep this short, but I doubt it. Another pretty good chapter. There is some technical stuff that I'm annoyed by, but that's just going to be the case. Oh, yeah, that's right. There was one thing. Okay. Because of the mention of Kirk's spectacles. In the movie, when he has to pull them out, he even goes like, damn, and like he doesn't want that to necessarily be known. He's been putting them on and off, not commonly, but he's never had a reaction like that. It seems much more, yep, this is what I need, put them on, use them, put them away. There's nothing about people looking at him weird or him being concerned about that, so. Yeah, so it's the whole, okay, they've arrived at the space station, and he wants to go over there, asks Bones, can you spare anyone? I can spare me. I beg your pardon, Admiral, Savick said, but General Order 15 specifically prohibits the entry of a flag officer into a hazardous area without armed escort. There is no such regulation, Kirk said. This is in the movie as well, and I always kind of interpret it, especially with the look then given, that she is actually making this up as just a I'm going with you kind of thing. It's just giving a reason. But no, that's not the case. That was easier than arguing with her. She began to speak, stopped, then frowned, trying to decide how to respond to such a bald-faced representation of a lie as the truth. On the other hand, Kirk thought she had a point. But if you want to check out a phaser, Lieutenant Savick, you're welcome to join the party. Mr. Spock, the ship is yours. So, yeah, it is in fact Kirk was just lying to get her to shut up. But he does relax on that, which is good. Beam over. Savick starts looking at the computer while Kirk and McCoy are moving around a little bit. Sir? Yes, Lieutenant? This is extremely odd. Only a single program remains. It is very large. It is unique in my experience. She stood back so Kirk and McCoy could look at the screen display. I can make nothing of it. They frowned at the sizzling, sparkling, colorful graphics. Another Genesis simulation? McCoy said doubtfully. No, Kirk said. My God, Bones, it's a game. If that's all Kirk Khan found when he got here, he shook his head, phasers on stun, move out, and be careful. I like that, but I also will add this. It's the kind of thing that, yeah, I could see that happening in motion picture, where the whole introducing that they have the video game there and then just forgetting it after it served its purpose of annoying Khan, but it's like they're also looking at the computer and they find it, and Kirk recognizing, well, what it is when the others don't, but also just being like, that would have really pissed Khan off. Oh God, we have to look now. McCoy is still the one who finds them. I found them. I'll be right down. No. Jim, Dr. Marcus isn't here. She isn't here, but the rest, they're dead. Jim, please stay where you are. I'll get a medical team to beam down. He was already trying to think if there was anyone on the ship he could count on besides Chris Chappell to help deal with this horror. Because it is... I'm just trying to check. Well, yeah, there was a line of, the casual ferocity of the killing gave him a deep, thick sensation. But it is basically, all the bodies were strung up in such a way that would allow their blood to just drain out. And does describe that one of them, the blood has so covered the face that you basically can't see the face. Which would definitely be quite horrific even for McCoy. Yeah, 3 of the people had bled to death, 1 had died of shock, and the Deltan, he could detect no cause for the Deltan's death. Which is fair, because of how, she basically did kill herself. That would confuse him. But despite being told not to, Kirk still came. He apparently also did tell Savick not to follow, but she did anyway. I am your escort, Admiral. Your safety is my responsibility, not the reverse. Stay outside then, McCoy said gently. Child, it isn't necessary for you to be exposed to this. I'm neither a child nor in need of protection. Lieutenant Savick, Kirk said sharply. Savick cut him off. Sir, in order to protect me from sights such as this, you would have had to start when I was still a child. I will not leave you unguarded when a creature who takes such great pleasure in killing, and would take his most extreme pleasure in your death, is free and in hiding somewhere near, nor will I stand by idle. She paused a moment, looking somewhat abashed by her outburst. She continued in a tone more restrained, but with words no less definite. Admiral Kirk, if you in truth prefer an escort who behaves differently, you must order me back to the ship. Savick waited, but Kirk said nothing. I can also believe, it isn't stated there, he does come up. Peter does implicitly come up later. I can also believe that she is being more protective because of losing Peter. Not that Kirk is necessarily meaningful to her, but just no, she is going to do everything she can to prevent continued loss of life. Okay. I was just checking what this next highlight was. But I do kind of like that her standing up for herself, I guess, is the best way to put it. I was almost tempted to say, and this isn't the right way to put it, that like throwing her weight around, that's like, look, I've seen horror before. No, it's not that. But it is, as I said, she stood up for herself there. That, no, I can see this. I have seen horrors before. In fact, they could even have written something in there that even this surprises her. But it doesn't matter, because she needs to be there. She needs to get through this anyway because of the reason she gave. And also, to a certain degree, she is a Starfleet officer. This is something that, as horrible as it is, and yet likely as unique as it is, she needs to be able to enter into it and get through it. So, they do find Tyrell and Chekhov. And McCoy found at the readings on his sensor. Apparently, Savick thought they looked as odd to him as they did to her, despite his enormously greater experience. I also want to look at my notes here. Okay, yeah. Haven't missed anything. So, I'm guessing he is picking up... I mean, his interpretation is they've been drugged. But I'm guessing it is also picking up something about the eel in their brains, and that's confusing the sensor. Because, like, why am I getting 2 life sign readings kind of thing? Is that... Okay. So now it's basically where did they go, what happened, all that. And also getting some information out of Chekhov. He's mad, sir. He lives for nothing but revenge. He blames you for the death of his wife, Lieutenant McGivers, just to back him. But it's... Where are the remaining scientists and such? Even the Space Lab specifications were erased from the computer, sir, she said. However, the Enterprise should have a copy in its library files. They contacted the ship, reassuring Commander Uhura and Mr. Spock that they were all right, and had a set of plans for the station transmitted down. Even the decorative printed maps of Space Lab, which ordinarily would have been displayed in its reception area, had been torn down and destroyed. So this helps explain why Khan didn't find them. That he had no idea of the layout of the ship, and does mention it would take days, which Khan doesn't have that time, so just leave the question of, okay, why didn't he leave a small group behind to continue searching the ship? Searching the space station. Well, he didn't need to. He left Tyrell and Chekhov, because in the event that Kirk got through, he would find them, and then that would get information, because they're basically Trojan horses. So it is, he did leave somebody behind, but in a more efficient manner than just leaving people to continue searching. Just trying to remember if there was anything else. Oh yeah, there's also McCoy knew Tyrell years prior. They were friends. Okay, I'm just trying to remember if it was... I think it may have said... Like they had served... Yes, I served with him. In fact, he had known him rather well for years. Okay. This does come up a little later. Just probably just want to make sure I did mention it. Okay. Yeah. Damage report, Mr. Spock, when they communicate back. Admiral, Lieutenant Savick would recommend that we go by the book. In that case, hours could stretch into days. Savick tried to understand what the captain meant by that. It sounded vaguely insulting. Unlikely behavior from Captain Spock. I just like that she did go to that. That's like, is he insulting me? No, he's communicating with Kirk about the code because they suspect that their communications are being listened to. So it's, when something was actually going to take hours, we're going to refer to it as days. And Kirk does understand that. So, and the fact that Savick doesn't pick up on that, I don't hold against her, because it kind of comes down to how I've been saying, she rejects the concept of a no-win scenario. Kirk competes with it. So she wouldn't be thinking, oh, he's trying to communicate in code. Kirk he's keeping an open mind. He's considering all the things, like by the book. Okay, Spock is referencing something there, something about this communication, then it's like hours to days, stretching to days. And Kirk is probably like, okay, I do remember in the book there is a mention about using, that's a standard code where you're just using a different, shifting the unit. So that, okay, I can see Kirk working through all that. Whereas Savick, why would she? Why would she be thinking through that? That's not how her mind is wired. Kirk's is wired that way. A lot of things actually after this it do prove different from the movie, by the way. A lot of things that are significant but technically details. Okay. So, for example, when David jumps Kirk, in the movie, Kirk successfully fights him back. Not in this case, no. David manages to jump him, grab him, and actually holds a knife to his throat. And he is more than ready to kill him. Shut up, David cried. Go back, Mother, unless you want to watch me kill him the way he killed. Kale Marcus took a deep breath. I don't want to watch you kill anyone, least of all your father. David looked up at her, stunned. Feeling stunned himself, Jim slid from beneath the knife and disarmed the boy. Surely Carol had said that just to give him such a chance. He didn't know. Which in the movie is quite different. In the movie, he does know. He knew the entire time. And he just promised to stay away as she had asked. So in this, nope. So yeah, that's but it is also just reflecting on this moment a bit more. I like that Carol is there, and it's, as David said, unless you want to watch me kill him the way he killed. That's like, she is basically just going to, by her presence, defy him and try to keep David from killing anyone. But also, I like how David is fully losing it. And by that, I don't just mean he's going crazy. I mean, more so, he's losing any semblance of not being a hypocrite. That, it's... He says that the military is paranoid and wants all this stuff for their own power. It's but his own belief and how adamant he is in that is his own paranoia showing. And then here, it's, I'm going to kill him just the way they kill. It's you seemingly are supposed to be against killing, the use of weapons that way, and here you are eager to cut somebody's throat just as your friends had their throats cut. I mean, he's really not a principled person and not self-conscious. Yeah, so a little bit after this, Kale comes up and all that, but Kale, is it true? She nodded. Why didn't you tell me? It isn't true, David shouted. My father was, you're making this a lot harder, David, Kale said. But yeah, that moment does get interrupted, though, because Terrell, who took a phaser away from Jeddah, that's the Delton scientist who's still alive, they're down there, took it away, and it seemed just the whole, he's trying to control the situation by collecting weapons from those who well, he's Starfleet, Jeddah isn't, so it's like, yeah, hand that over. Um, but in actuality, he is arming himself so he and Pavel can do what Khan wants. So yeah, Terrell opened his communicator. Hang on. Yeah, and please don't move all. I have indeed. You have done very well, Khan. I knew it, David whispered, low and angry. Jim turned, but not in time to stop him. David launched himself at Terrell. Savick instantly reacted, catching David and flinging him out of the way with all the force of muscles adapted to higher gravity. They collapsed in a heap as Jeddah, too, sprang forward after David. Terrell fired, Jada fell into the beam, he vanished without a sound. This comes up later, but I just want to point out that he just ripped a chair that's mounted to the floor, hurled it across a conference room with enough strength, it dented the wall and came back. Her using all her strength to, like, shove David out of the way, he should at least have broken ribs from this. I mean, it's like he should be in pain. So yeah, now we know that Terrell and Chekhov are still serving Khan, despite Chekhov had been saying that we fought him, Captain Strong. But they are still trying their best to resist Khan. Yeah. And he somehow has the coordinates for Genesis. Exactly how Terrell got him those isn't explained, but regardless. Because it's also like in a separate room at the moment. But anyhow. Terrell is resisting killing Kirk. And Pavel is as well. Pavel Chekhov raised his phaser slowly, staring at it with utter absorption. His whole body trembled. He aimed the weapon at Clark Terrell. He tried to fire. He failed. Terrell screamed in agony. He forced his phaser around until he had turned it on himself. Clark, my God, McCoy whispered. He reached out toward him. Terrell raised his head. Jim felt the intensity of his plea to McCoy in his horrified gaze. And then a line about McCoy can't do anything. He groaned and turned away, his face in his hands. Kill him, Terrell, Khan said. The damaged communicator distorted his voice, but it still it was all too recognizable. There we go. Fire now. Terrell obeyed, and he disappeared. Chekhov shrieked. His phaser fell from his shaking hands, and he clutched at his temples as his knees buckled. He quivered and convulsed on the hard rock floor. And then we get McCoy hurried to his side, pulled an ejector from his medical pack, dialed it, and stabbed it into Chekhov's arm. Chekhov struggled for a moment, then went limp. This I appreciate, because I don't recall seeing him do that in the movie. When I watch it, I'll try to see it, but it always seemed like the thing just exited Chekhov's ear for whatever reason. It's like, here, no, I'm just going to assume that whatever McCoy injected him with, why McCoy would inject the right thing, I don't know, but in any case, injected him with something, and that caused the eel to flee. I just want to check, though, was anything... Nope, nothing more to that. Besides that, Chekhov was also trying to shoot Terrell to save Kirk. Okay, then they destroy the eel on the floor. And then Kirk picks up the communicator. Khan, you miserable bloodsucker, they're free of you. You'll have to do your own dirty work now. Do you hear me? Do you? After a moment, a terrible sound came from the communicator. Khan laughed. Kirk, James Kirk, my old friend, you are still alive. So the conversation they have is a bit different from in the movie. In some ways, I do like the movie better. Like this line here. I've done far worse than kill you, Admiral. I've hurt you. I wish to let you savor the hurt for a little time. I much prefer the I've hurt you. And I'm going to keep on hurting you. It just is masterfully performed by Ricardo Montalban, and I do think that is a better line than "I wish to let you savor the hurt for a little time." But it continues here. So much for all your oaths and promises, so much for your vow to your wife. You should not speak of my wife, James Kirk. She never wanted me to take my revenge. So now I will grant her wish. I will not kill you. You're a coward, Khan. I will leave you as you left me. But no one will ever find you. You are buried alive, marooned in the middle of a dead planet forever. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I think that the best, because some of this I do like, I think that the best version would be to, if we could mesh together what's written here and what's in the movie. I think bringing them together would be best. Now back on Reliant, Khan wants to go off and hunt down the Enterprise and destroy it, which Joachim is exactly happiest with. You're with me or you're against me. Which do you choose? Joachim looked down. I am with you, my lord. He turned away. I have not changed. So he's seeing how much Khan has changed. Which it has me very interested. It really does. I am so curious about what will happen between the two of them in the following chapters. Because there is potential here. There's great potential for stuff to happen here. Okay. Need to fix a highlight here. But the highlight is just that she had sworn to never tell either David or Kirk about the relationship. But right now, the reason she did is because it was the only way to keep them both alive. What's next? Okay. The speech for her explaining why is pretty good. That's a little bit longer though. It's just that's the note that I was seeing there. But Carol wants to know who Khan is. It's a long story, Carol. We've got plenty of time, David said angrily. You and your daddy, Dr. McCoy said, can catch each other up on things. Maybe he is my biological father, David said, but he sure as hell is not my daddy. Jeddah's dead because of him. Because of you, boy, McCoy snapped. Because you tried to rush a phaser set on kill, and it isn't one dead, it's two in case you've lost count. It's more than that, Dr. Carroll said, in case you've lost count. Most of them were our friends. Jim, I think you owe us at least the courtesy of an explanation. He does try to give it, but I like McCoy snapping like that because McCoy is an unfortunate character in Star Trek in that in many cases he is not given nearly as much time and as much attention as he really does deserve. He is a part of the trio. He is the most silent of the three, but here he is actually getting to not be so silent, and I like that. It's only in this chapter even that McCoy knows about Tyrell. He had to witness his suicide to save somebody else's life, which even with that, it's still very difficult for him. And like David's here, trying to blame somebody else, trying to blame Kirk for somebody's death, and it's like, no, that was your fault. You're the one who charged in like that, causing that all to happen. It is your fault, and it's also again exposing David that he doesn't have a sense of responsibility. He is a hypocrite. He isn't really conscious of his own actions and his own beliefs. He's just like, he's right, everyone else is wrong. And it'll be neat to see him transform as well. That's actually true. Huh. Okay. Didn't have a decide on this. But I'm going to make a note here quick. I'll explain why. I don't want to be reading it as I write it. I'll explain why shortly, though. So it just occurred to me. Sorry about the chair creaking, assuming that came through. There's a parallel here for the Kirk-David relationship, which is a father-son relationship, because they are father and son. And between it is being juxtaposed against the Khan-Joachim relationship, which they are not biological father and son. This has already been stated. I don't remember if I read that line or not. That Khan's saying, "I couldn't be prouder of you than if you were my own son," indicating he is not. But it is still, they do have such a relationship there, and it is setting aside a certain aspect of it. It is, in theory, actually a healthy relationship, as in there's a lot of love and loyalty there. Khan's is insane to the point that it's twisted. And Joachim is so subservient to him and submissive to him that it's not great. But it's technically, they do have, outside of the events of this story, you could almost see it being a healthy father-son relationship there. While Kirk and David, their relationship is clearly unhealthy. And not just, even without the some of the circumstances going on here, and them not knowing that they are father and son, it still is, David has a deep hatred that he directs at Kirk, because Kirk represents the military, does represent Starfleet, that he has a hatred for, even though he's an idiot. David is an idiot about it. It still is there, and it is interesting because I don't know exactly how the relationship with Khan and Joachim is going to go, but going just by the movie, you see some degree of reconciliation between David and Kirk, so it becomes healthy. But also with Khan and Joachim, Khan's insanity, his madness, leads Joachim to his death, because he remains near Khan. His love for Khan is that great that he stays there. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, it hadn't quite occurred to me before how those are in some ways juxtaposed. And I like juxtapositions like that, like in Attack the Clones, the juxtapositions with the different familial relationships there. Very much like that. That was a lot more obvious, because that's a primary theme to that story. It's not so much here. Where am I? Okay, so we are getting some of the discussion as to why Cal never told him. He raised his head, and it's just the two of them talking. Why didn't you tell me? Carol Marcus had had 20 years to think about how to answer that question, and she had never decided what the answer should be. Jim, why didn't you ask? He frowned. What? You've known for a long time that I have a son. You know his age, or you could have found out without any trouble. And, she added with an attempt at humor, I don't believe they take you into Starfleet Academy unless you can count. The humor fell flat, by the way. But, this... She is being defensive, but my interpretation is not in a cruel way. Like, well, you should have asked. Not like that. But just was it really that big a secret? No, I didn't tell you, but you could have figured this out and you could have asked me. She didn't want him to ask. It even makes a point of that somewhere. It's near there, I think. Yeah, she at the end of that paragraph, I didn't read the full paragraph, that she never wanted him to ask. She wanted David for her own. And, yeah, so she got what she wished for, that he never asked. But it still is, she is being defensive, and so is putting it on him. Why didn't you ever ask? But then there's the whole, more in-depth explanation. I don't understand why, he said. How can you say that? Isn't it obvious? We weren't together, and there was no way we were ever going to be. Yeah, I never had any illusions about it, and to give you your due, you never tried to give me any. You have your world, and I have mine. I wanted David in my world. She let go of Jim's hand. She had always admired his hands. They were square and strong. If he'd decided to go chasing through the universe on his own, I'd have accepted it. But I couldn't have stood having you come along when he was 14 and say, well, now that you've got him to the age of reason, it's time for him to come along with his father, someone he'd never known except as a stranger staying overnight. Jim, that was the only possibility, and that's too late to start being a father. Besides, 14-year-olds have no business on a starship anyway. He stood up, walked away from her, and pressed his hands and forehead against the wall as if he were trying to soak up the coolness and calmness of the very stone. You don't need to tell me that, he said. His shoulders were slumped, and she thought he was about to cry. She wanted to hold him, yet she did not want to see him cry. She just had to pull out 14 years old, same age as Peter. And it's an accident. She did not mean to do that, but she cut him so deeply with that, and he knows. It's not her fault. He knows. And also just one thing, by the way, with the whole someone he'd never known except as a stranger staying overnight. I'm fairly certain she is not saying that he was visiting like that while David was growing up. I'm pretty sure she is just saying that if they tried to be together, that's what it would have been. That she would have been at home, he would be off on his adventures on the Enterprise. Fairly confident that's what she's saying there, because it was mentioned previously that there's only one time he'd ever crossed paths with her since they were together, and he'd also only seen David the one time as well. So it's just a point of clarification. So it is he stayed out of her life as well. So yeah. I just want to check. Okay. Tell me what you're feeling, she said gently. This is after a little bit. Yeah, including after her saying that he's stubborn and unpredictable like Jim. Of course, he's smarter. That goes without saying. This attempt at humor also fell flat, but anyway. Tell me what you're feeling, she said gently. He sounded remote and sad. Carol tried to feel angry at him, but could not. There's a man who hasn't seen me for 15 years who thinks he's killed me, Jim said. You show me a son who'd be glad to finish the job. Our son. My life that could have been, but wasn't. Carol, I feel old and worn out and confused. Yeah. And I also like the whole, my life that could have been. Because it is an interesting question. It isn't brought up here, and that's fine. It technically shouldn't be. Because I don't think you could do that without distracting from the main story and without Kirk being angry. And I don't think we want either. But that concept of the life that could have been, as in, might he have actually decided to settle down? Or would would being a father compel him to do that and leave Starfleet, or at least leave being a captain? I think if he were to say anything, he would say that he would at least have considered it. That he can feel that urge, but ultimately, I think everyone would recognize, no. Not that he wouldn't have been a good father, but no. His true vocation is being a captain. That's where he needs to be. And she was not interested in being that wife that just, when he's in port, sees. It's like, no, she wanted her own life, her own world. They were in separate worlds and all that. So, anyway. So then there's the whole, because David, Savick, and McCoy have already left to go to the Genesis Cave. The description of which I'm not the description of which I'm not the happiest with. So now Carol's leading him there. With the sensitivity of someone who spent most of his time in artificial light and beneath alien stars, who valued what little he saw of sunlight, Jim knew without question that the glow ahead of him was that of a star very like the sun. He glanced at Carol. She smiled but gave no word of explanation. Without meaning to, Jim began to walk faster. As the light intensified, as its quality grew clearer and purer, he found himself running. So, there's a distance along the corridor where here's the artificial light, here's the cave with its own light, and it's dark in the middle. And so, as he's going, he's seeing that light building and starts running. But I really dislike this idea that, oh yeah, it's sunlight. Or at least similar to it, very similar to it. Because, like, you're inside a fucking planet. You don't have a sun there, okay? Stars, very, very big. Like, there's no star smaller than a planet. Okay? It's like, even a brown dwarf, so-called failed stars, still are much larger than Jupiter. Okay? In fact, they are so large that, as I recall, even if you took all the mass outside of the sun and put it all together, you still would not have enough to ignite. And even a brown dwarf is... Well, actually, no, we're unsure if those are ignited or not. Red dwarfs are. We're not sure if brown dwarfs have ignited nuclear fusion or if it's just the pressure is producing heat that is causing them to glow. So they are either... Well... They're either failed stars in that sense, or failed stars in that there's basically very little nuclear fusion there, but either way. But it even does say here, a stress field keeps the star in place. It's an extreme variable, 12 hours out of 24. It dims down to give some night. Makes a very pretty moon. It's like, not really how that would work, but it is also, I mean, none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. Because how it also describes it, how it also gets described is it's not a cave. That they have basically converted the whole inside of the planet or planetoid like to be like this. So I don't know if it's basically supposed to be like a mini Dyson sphere in that regard, where they have the star in the center. They're doing that, but it's like, no, you can't have that type of nuclear fusion sustained at such a low mass. Because, I mean, it's, in a star, the mass of gravity is what's pulling it together to produce enough heat and pressure to cause nuclear fusion. So you need a bunch of gravity to cause that. That takes a lot of space. Much bigger than this planetoid would be. It ain't happening. Now, here's the thing, though, that I will also add. It's entirely possible to do artificial sunlights. That's completely achievable. Suggesting that they have an actual star there is absurd. So yeah, I got problems with that. That's technical, but I mean it's not that technical. But yeah, it is just. And just to clarify, the light from a star is blackbody radiation, which technically an incandescent bulb is as well. But it is based on a different material than hydrogen, which is what it would be for a star. Because the outer surface is hydrogen, which, yeah, that's also one thing that I kind of feel like mentioning. We don't see the light of a star is not from nuclear fusion. The nuclear fusion is heating up the star that then causes it to just radiate electromagnetic radiation at one part of the spectrum or another. The specific temperature and material, I'm pretty sure the material plays into it some, but certainly the temperature does determine what the coloring of that light, what frequencies are being emitted. Because that's just how blackbody radiation works. And it's just one of those things, because it's like, not that long ago I saw the Superman movie from this year, Superman 2025, and it's like, I can't recreate a star, but I can do this, and then like, causes nuclear fusion to happen between his hands without, it exploding and killing him. But it's also like the light from that isn't what Superman gets power from. It's from the actual hydrogen on the photosphere of the star of the sun, the outer layer of it. That's what's actually giving him the energy. So this wouldn't help anyhow. It should it should kill him when he just set off a nuclear bomb, basically, and it's the wrong light. So it does annoy me. Get this stuff right. It's not hard to get right. Especially because the black body radiation, the correct color light would be easier to produce than nuclear fusion. It's just so stupid. Also, one other thing. The sun is white. It's not yellow. Sorry, but it looks yellow because of dust in the air, but the sun is a white star. And one thing that can be used as evidence of that is you look at the snow. It's white. If it's yellow, well, it would be yellow if the sun were yellow, because it's just scattering the light back. So, no, the sun is a white star. So sorry, but I have to critique Superman as well. Anyway, but there was one last thing, because they're talking about the design of it all. Yeah, and that the whole team worked on it. Vance drew the map. His section had a note at the far border, way up north. He said, that said, "Here be dragons." Nobody even knew if he was kidding or not. Or maybe Dell did. Thinking about them causes her to start crying. Jim took her in his arms and just held her. So, yeah. It's not an easy chapter for anyone. But I do like this chapter. It does have some issues. The previous chapter, I will say, I think was better. But this is still, it's a good chapter. So next chapter will be entertaining. Will be interesting. Because it's when we should be getting the Kirk's Kobayashi Maru solution. Should be getting that explanation. Probably some other stuff as well that will be fun as well. Yeah. Okay, it's getting late. I really should stop. I was just trying to think. Is there anything else to mention? But nothing coming to mind. Let me look. Oh, yeah, I guess I will mention a little bit more about why it does seem like it's the whole of the interior. Well, it's technically not. Well, anyway. Because they mentioned that Regulus 1 is rotating fast enough to produce artificial gravity, which would only make sense if you're actually on the inner surface. So that's why I said it might, supposedly, that I guess they're trying to say it's like a Dyson sphere and they're on this. But it's also nonsense because, like, you're doing that, but you have a star in the center which should be a very high mass. Well, actually, no, it has to be no more than the mass of the planet, which is itself a problem because that's how Genesis works. So that's a problem already as well. And it's also, think about how fast the Earth is spinning. It's pretty fast. But we're still attracted to the core because it's still more gravity than the centripetal force to supposedly throw us off, which they're using here to be on the inner surface. So it's either going super duper fast, or this is just really dumb. Probably more so really dumb. But they do describe that basically from 45 degrees up or down from the equator, that is where it that's where you have the gravity. Further out it gets wonky. But it's also, if it's that open, then that means you've got a shell that's just orbiting. I would not trust that to not eventually like get off center and collide and be a very major problem. So yeah, it's in the movie it seems to legitimately just be a massive cave with some light source in the back, not really explained. I kind of like that explanation better, that design better than what we're getting here, because this is, as I said before when talking about Genesis, what is being described there, I'm good with that science fiction. It has some problems there, but mainly in the jargon, not in what the fundamental description is. That was just like straight science fiction. I like that. The description of this Genesis cave is it's fantasy. It is not science fiction. It's fantasy. So that's annoying. And it's also, why would you even bother? I mean, if it is true that you did this to the interior of the planet, or at least a sizable portion of it. If you're talking about the equator, I'm assuming it's going all the way around. Because I think it was even described as well. I don't feel like opening up and looking. Why the hell do you need to try this on an entire planet, and the surface of an entire planet? It's like, you've already achieved like 99% of it. Well, okay, but like 90% of it. It's still, it's like, you've already made such an achievement there. It's like, what more work do you need to do? Plus, there's also achieving this. This is actually what you would sell Genesis on. This is the major achievement. Changing the entire planet, it's like, yeah, but why? It's so hard to find a planet that's suitable to do this on. There's a whole bunch of smaller objects that's like, if you could do this on the inside, I mean, it's like, that's amazing. Like, imagine taking a sufficiently large asteroid, doing this on the inside so it's sealed, but now you can, like, grow crops and such there. That would be great. Have one of those nearby a planet that you're starting a colony on, but you already have all these resources available to you that you just need to shuttle up and down from the planetary colony. That's awesome. It's like, that is where it would be used most. So it's just, yeah. I get it. I get going to the planet. Don't get me wrong. It's just, yeah. It's just, I'm annoyed. So I talk more when I'm annoyed. I criticize more when I'm annoyed. Alright, but no, it does make sense trying to go to a full planet. It does. I'm just, stupid design for the Genesis cave in here. The movie's better. The movie's better in that regard. Different visions, different places, all that. Alright. I'm rambling. I'm tired. See you next time.